Hey, deserved listeners, I thought I would continue to react to the post-season developments and news stories and posts. And since I left off last time in the member exclusive video reacting to Ben describe his side of the story, I thought I would follow that up with Sara reacting to his side story. So I just saw this posted today. So let's watch this. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. And keep in mind that everything that I'm saying in reaction to this is tentative and speculative because I haven't actually assessed these individuals and I only know what I know from the internet. So let's watch.
Let's chat. So I want to shed some light on my experience, especially with what happened after wedding day. And maybe this will be also helpful for people to understand what was happening during filming. Filming was very overwhelming. It was like a fight or flight experience for me. I felt like my emotions and thoughts were split in so many ways. Some days we would film for 12 hours a day, all while you're trying to figure out if you're going to marry this person.
Yeah, I think that's something that is important to point out. It would be overwhelming for anybody. The way I like to think about it is that we all understand that when it's our wedding, that there's a lot of stress, right? If you are heading into a wedding, like you're planning one, or you just had one, or you've had one, especially in the modern age, you understand just how much of a whirlwind it is. So much so that for a lot of people, they don't remember anything that happened that day because it's just such a whirlwind and it's so stressful. And for these folks, especially when they go to the altar, not only are they experiencing that, because their families are there and it's all the accoutrement. I mean, maybe it's toned down a little bit because they haven't been planning it for a year, but still, not only that, but they're being filmed and they're not sure if they want to marry this person. They met them like a month prior. And all of the implications of what it's going to mean when the show comes out and all the people coming after you and everything. Anyway, so there's that. And so I appreciate her mentioning this because I don't know if many people do mention this. I think what she's actually getting to perhaps is a response to the criticism against her, which I think is completely unfair, that at the wedding on the TV show, Love is Blind Season 8, she, after the wedding, was pretty sure that she didn't want to date Ben afterwards. And then they were dating afterwards. So I think she's getting at the fact that it was a whirlwind and it was stressful and that she was not sure that she wanted to date. She was going back and forth, right? Which would be natural. And for people to attack her as lying or something, and might there have been some effort to play to the camera in a certain way? Maybe. It certainly wouldn't be the first time that happened. But let's watch.
So for me, it was very difficult to think straight. So during this time, I was learning a lot of and receiving a lot of external information about Ben from friends, mutual friends, and strangers. People were concerned about the TikTok, the YouTube card, and also I was learning more about Ben's dating history.
The YouTube card, I don't know what that is. I did react to the TikTok video in question. There were a few, actually. And my conclusion from an outsider's, I'm not in Sara's shoes. If I were in Sara's shoes, it would definitely give me pause. It would definitely raise some, I don't know if red flags, but some questions that I would want some answers to. And if I didn't get sufficient answers, I think I would just continue dating someone and just seeing if I could detect whether or not there was some kind of problematic nature to the person's personality. But certainly enough reason, if you're going to get married in a couple weeks, if you saw a TikTok video like that, there's enough reason to be like, well, maybe we should date instead, which makes total sense, right? But I will say that after watching the TikTok video in question, I didn't see the YouTube card, and I'm not hearing what she's hearing from her friends, but the few TikTok videos were amorphous at best. She didn't even name Ben, but Ben confirmed it was about him, but the allegations, if you can even call them that, were so non-specific and completely impossible to, because even if she were to be specific in the video, we would still wonder what the bias was or what the true story. It might even be worse than she's saying, right? We just can't know. But the way she was describing what had happened, it was like you could detect that she was upset and she didn't like the guy, but she didn't say anything in particular. In fact, some of the stuff that she did say kind of specific was, I think, about his friends. And maybe she was trying to say that he was doing it too, but that was not clear. So it was impossible to tell what was going on from that video.
And so whenever I would bring this up to his attention, which wasn't enough, Ben would somehow be able to respond in a way that always turned into how much he loved me and cared for me. He always told me what I wanted to hear, and it felt good to hear it.
So I think she's getting at love bombing. And I have done a whole deep dive on love bombing. You can listen to those episodes. I have developed my own working definition of love bombing. And yeah, people do love bomb. Take it from me as a clinician. I have seen it before. But the term is used way too often. Now, if it's true, and she would know Ben a billion times better than I would, but if it is true that what she's getting at is that Ben was falsely claiming that he loved her as a manipulation, then yeah, whether or not that's love bombing or not, that is deceptive, it's manipulative, it's psychopathic, it's maybe even sadistic, it's horrible. And if she is claiming that, then how would I be able to refute that, given that I'm just watching an edited TV show, so I can't know. But I will say that in my anecdotal experience, the amount of people that will accuse, particularly former partners, of this, when I would look into it and find that that was not the case, it far outnumbers the number of times where I'm actually concluding that the person was indeed love bombed. So, take that for what it's worth.
And so I held on to that. And so with all of this happening, I decided to move forward with a relationship.
Now, I will say that from the edit, and of course they had a lot more conversations off camera or on camera that were included in the edit, it did look that way, that she would bring up a question or a topic and he would evade. And the way she's describing it is that he would respond with, "I love you," and "I want to be with you," and all that kind of stuff. Might that have been manipulative? Maybe.
Our future plans with one another. So the night before I left for Nashville, we went to dinner and a speakeasy, and we discussed, do we still want to be in each other's lives? We said yes, and then we started planning Nashville. We had all these details, which is what I said at the reunion, and I left that conversation thinking we were completely on the same page.
Yeah. So if you didn't watch Ben's videos, they're pretty short, so they don't take long to watch, but I watched them in the member zone in the previous video, that I believe Sara here, because Ben was at the beginning of the video saying that he would get into that, but he didn't. He would, at the reunion and kind of in the TikTok video, claim that he had sufficiently broken up with her at dinner a couple days before Nashville. But he didn't get into that at all. And then over the text that he showed, it wasn't mentioned. He didn't say in the text, well, we talked about this at dinner, that we had broken up, right? He didn't say anything like that. It was completely the opposite in the texts that he showed. The context of those texts was that he was telling her, informing her over text while she was in Nashville that he was breaking up. All right. So let's take a break here. The rest of this video will be for members of the YouTube channel if you want to watch it. Typically, these videos are a lot longer than others. I think the previous member video was over an hour long. I don't know why that is exactly, but if you want to see this whole video, become a member. Otherwise, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.